Hi everybody, JuanitasCasita here, and today I'm going to be recreating a Valentine. So I like to do a lot of die cutting, and I love to create with many different brands. This is a collab brand, as a collab card that I made using two specific brands. It's going to be DCWV and Griffin. The majority of it is Griffin. So I'm going to hold it up here, if I can hold it straight. If it'll focus. I hope I can do it. I guess I can't do it quite straight. I think my camera's a little crooked. Okay, and it might be a little bright up here, so I'm going to bring it down. So this is the one I'm going to be recreating. It's got a real vintage look to it. It's very it's purple. It has gold, and it's got some lavender. And the thing of it is this is actually gold it's kind of like a gold yellow vellum that I put over another piece of patterned paper to kind of soften it a little bit. And so the result is something that's very vintage looking to me. Vintage, not your average pink red styled Valentine. It's just more of to me, it's kind of like a little different. It's a little different. It's a little vintage. And so I wanted to create something that was just a little bit different. And so that's what I did. And so after I created it, and I think I'm going to be using this as my Sunday share tomorrow with Anna Griffin, I thought, you know what? I'd like to make another one like this because I may want to send this one to my grandma or to somebody else. So I decided to see if I had the papers to do it. So this is what it kind of took for me to create. This is what it took for me to create this Valentine. So I ended up using the base is a white cardstock, and I think it's by Nina. It's by Nina Papers. I've already I always keep a stack that I pre-fold on my Martha Stewart paper scoring board, and I use my bone folder, so that's ready to go already. So I needed this. Okay, the base, the other base item is going to be this paper by DCWV. Is how it was built. Underneath this die cut piece here is this paper by DCWV. And it doesn't look like much right now because I have to die cut it. Okay, so nothing's die cut yet. And this paper might not even be like exact to size. I'll need to cut that down. I do have my heart. I had made a whole bunch of these, so I have my heart that it's made with Anna Griffin matte foil cardstock, and I use a cut and emboss folder by Anna Griffin. I already had an extra, so I don't need to remake that, but I do already have it on hand. So this recreation is for me I need to collect the materials that I will need to recreate this card. I had to check my stock and see, do I actually have everything that I need? And I do. So I believe so anyways. So let's see. I needed the cardstock to go behind, and let me see if I can lift this up. You see that right there? That cardstock right there? I do have that. It's right here. I have some scraps of it. Okay. The flower embellishment by Anna Griffin. I happen to have one left. So I cannot, after this, I may, unless I have somewhere in my craft room, I'll never be able to make this card again using the exact materials. The gold bow by Anna Griffin. She has just beautiful bows. The Valentine sentiment says Valentine greetings. I believe it's from the mini Valentine sticker set. And the gold foil. I'm sorry, not foil. Vellum. It's like a gold yellow. It's like a yellow gold vellum from Anna Griffin. And let's see, did I miss anything? Oh, the inside. The inside looks like this. It's the exact same die that I used to create this piece. I just basically used it for the inside. I do like to add a little something to the insides of my cards. And I see here that my camera is backwards. So sorry about that. You can't read it. Well, let me see. On one screen, is it backwards? It is backwards. Why it's backwards, I do not know, but it's backwards. So I do apologize. This is normally my left, not my right. But you get the idea. So we're going to go ahead and create this. I'm going to keep this here on my work table just to give me, and you may not see it. I'm going to put it off to the side. I don't want to ruin it, but I'm going to put it right there for me to be able. Actually, I'm going to put it up here on my Archon here so that I can keep watch and make sure I do this right. Okay, so here we go. So first things first, I have my base card right here, done. I don't need to do that again. I'm going to put that off to the side, okay? The second thing I need to do is I need to cut, well, I guess I'll put this back down here. I need to cut this piece down so I can fit these pieces. So I'm going to move all this to the side because the only piece I want right now, I'm going to set all this to the side. The only piece I want right now is this one. Okay. And my paper trimmer, lots of people have a self-healing mat on their workbench or work table or work surface, and they use that to create on. You wipe it off. I don't do that. I like my paper trimmer as my base. And this one is by We Are Memory Keepers. And my battery's dead. I need to put some more batteries, but this does have a light up feature here, which is great when it works, but I killed it, so it doesn't light up right now. But I'm just going to measure my paper, and I probably don't do it in a very normal or conventional way. I do use my grid lines, and I'm just going to use this to just to see. I want to see. I think this paper is not exact measurement or level. Okay, so I'm just checking it to see where it lies. I think it might be a little off. I'm just going to run it through here and see if any extra, yeah, a little piece pops up from the top. I'm just going to cut it down a little bit. Let's see if that helped me. Check the side. The side looks good. And I'm just running it through my paper trimmer just to see if any little extra pieces pop out. And there's a couple of pieces that did. I do want to get it as close to perfect as I can. These are handmade cards. These are not, you know, I do have the Anna Griffin compendium dies, and you can cut out exact shapes. She doesn't offer the square. It's more of the base card. But a lot of times I just hand cut my cards, or I trim them. I trim them, or I eyeball trim them. And so you do want to just make sure that they are not too crazy or not too, I guess the word is cut askew. Just want to make sure that they're going to work for you. Okay. And then I'll know once I go over. So you guys are watching me make a card basically from scratch. I do have a template, this is my design, my card. I'm going to recreate this, but you're going to watch me make it all over again, which I don't do, mind you. I make cards. They're pretty much one of a kind. I may tweak a thing here or there when I'm doing like tons of cards for Christmas, but for the most part, they are one of a kind. I make it, I put it off to the side, and then I'll grab a whole bunch of stuff, embellishments or whatever papers, and then I create a whole new card. So I don't ever recreate cards. I just don't do that. It does drive me a little crazy because I feel like I can never make it again. So, and I'm doing this live. This is like live crafting. Okay, this is by Anna Griffin, and forgive me, I don't have the name here. I'll go back and post the names of these frames. Actually, I did have it. Let me set this down. I think I do have it somewhat close by. I could give you the name. Yes, okay. It is the Cutaway Frame Dies by Anna Griffin. Let me take it out of the protective sleeve that I have it in. And I'll show you guys also the paper. So the paper that I'm using is Subtle and Sophisticated. DCWV had posted about this on their Instagram channel, and I had seen the post right about the time it had gone up, and I'm like, hey, I'm creating with that. I'm currently creating with that. So this is the paper pad that I'm using in conjunction also with Anna Griffin papers, and these are the dies that I'm going to use to create the additional base. It's called the Cutaway Frame Dies. These are relatively new. I believe she launched these towards the end of last year, 2020. but this is what they look like, and this is what I'm going to be using. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Now I can see here that the background is this paper right here. Okay, so I'm going to take my paper, set this aside. We're not using this just yet. And I'm going to take out my magnetic mat because I'm going to be using my electric die cutter. And I just want to show you guys, I just got this one in this way. It's so nice and unblemished and new because I just received it. And my other one is well loved, well worn, well used. This is the one I'm replacing, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to take that magnetic shim, or the metal shim, I'm sorry, because I'm going to use this. I'm not using this right now. I'm not throwing this away. This can still be used. This can still be used. I'm not getting rid of it. Okay, I'm going to use my plates here. A plate on the bottom, magnetic or metal shim on the bottom, or on top of that. So it's A metal shim, which is the D metal clear plexiglass plate is A, D. Then your magnetic mat, which is B, that's going to go on top of that. And I will be cutting into my mat. Some people don't like to cut into their mats. They just don't like. And you know what? Actually, I don't think I'm going to cut into this mat with this one. I don't have to. This one doesn't really need embossing. This one doesn't need any embossing. What is great with the magnetic mat is you don't have to use washi tape. If you wanted to just cut, if you're okay with cutting into your mat, you could just put this paper down. And did you hear that? It's magnetic. So it'll go right down and it'll hold your paper to the mat. So you don't have to worry about losing or moving or shifting. That can be a real pain, especially if you want a certain design on your paper. But I want to preserve my newly received mat just a little bit longer. So I'm just going to set this down and put the paper face down. Normally you would go paper face up, die cutting down. But in this case, I'm die cutting up and paper facing down. And it doesn't matter to me if it's like askew or whatever, because this is just going to go underneath something. So because I'm cutting up, I'm going to use one of my well-worn, well-loved, well-used acrylic plates to cut into, because I don't want to mar one of my newer ones. So this machine you're going to hear, which is off the side here, is the electric Empress by Griffin, and that is just cutting. Yes, that noise is normal, like crack, crack, crack. Okay. And as you can see here, I've cut my paper beautifully, easily. Look at that. And I hope I have minimal damage to my mat. Minimal, and it's not really damage, it's just wear and tear like anything. But normally this would cut right into the mat, as you saw my other one. But I'm trying to preserve it because it is new, so I don't have to cut into this one because I'm not going for really any embossing looks. This is my scrap piece. You could save this. If you're one of those people that doesn't like to waste any scrap piece, you could actually save this and use this as a border if you're a scrapbooker. I am not a scrapbooker. I am attempting to scrapbook, but I am not a scrapbooker. So I'm going to take this and put it in my scraps pile. I do have a scraps pile. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side. The next one I'm going to cut is going to be with this one. So what I am going to now cut this piece here, which is the piece that's going to go on top. And I did use the color. It is a shiny foil. I used this shiny foil by Griffin. It is her purple color. It can look a little pink sometimes, but it is actually purple. And you can see like the reflection of my camera and everything. That's how shiny this is. Very reflective. As you can see the whole craft room. It's very reflective. Now this one I'm going to cut into my mat. So this is going to be the first one that's actually going to cut into my mat because I want it to emboss. It's going to do some raised detail. So I'm just going to set this down on my mat. Same sandwich as before, acrylic plate beneath, metal shim, and then the magnetic mat, paper facing up, okay, paper facing up, and I'm going to put my die, and it's clean. There are no bits and pieces. You want to make sure if you have bits and pieces, you take your Tool N One or whatever you're using and clean up your die, because if you have bits and pieces there, you may not get a good cut or the raised embossing that you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this down. I would, if I could, use it in this direction so I don't waste any paper, but I can't because that's not the way it's going to work. So we're gonna have to go this way. And I do try to get it to the very edge so that I don't waste this and this. I can use this for something else, okay? So I'm gonna take this, and now in this case, I don't want to mar my paper. This paper will catch the impression where the acrylic plate touches it and will emboss the impression. So you do have to be careful with that. So I'm going to come back and get my marred plate, which is this one, okay? And I'm going to use that for my under plate. So a metal shim magnetic mat, which is the B, and my clear plate, which is as clean as it's going to be, on top, okay? I'm going to take that sandwich and we're going to run it through, again, through the Empress. I'm probably going to run it twice through so that I get to make sure that it's a good cut. Sometimes some of these are super intricate and I just want to make sure it's exactly how I want it. So I ran it through that way. I think I'll run it through this way now. Anna does say to switch the position when you run it through. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I remember. I did try to remember during Christmas and when I attended her virtual create in 2020 in November, and she kept saying that, so I was like, oh, I need to get in the habit of doing that. So you can see here, it's already cutting away beautifully, very simply, very easily. That was the second cut. You really only need to do one. Very rarely do I need to do two cuts. Okay, so I'm just going to lift this up. As you can see here, it has cut into my mat. I'm going to bring it right underneath the camera. It has cut right into my mat. That is normal. No, we don't like to see that because that just means that, you know, eventually your mat, you'll have to replace it. Remember my other one I showed at the beginning, it was all icky. In the beginning, she used to have white mats. And the white mats, they lasted longer, but I don't know if it was a, visually they did this warpy thing. Do you see this? How, like a warp? They did this warp thing. But to me, these, you could keep these for longer, but it's got this weird warp to it. But I keep it. I'm not going to get rid of it because you can still use it. It's still good. Okay. So now that I've got that piece, I'm going to just take it off and make sure that I don't have any pieces that I need to poke through. No, it cut beautifully. No issues. Now I do see something here where my, went through the second pass, my paper kind of cracked, and that's because I didn't do the misting. They do say to mist your paper lightly when you're using a foil so that it doesn't crack or tear. And I didn't do that. I normally don't do that, but that's not a problem for me because as you can see here on the original card, most of those areas are covered anyways, so no one's going to see that. I'm going to take my die and I'm going to clean it. And this is when I'm die cutting, and if you ever get a card from me, this is the process that I do to make the card. Now, I did cut down on some time by choosing the paper. In this case, it was chosen for me based on a card that I made that I completed actually today. I completed it this morning. And I looked to make sure I had all the paper to recreate it, and I do. See, it's all cleaned right there. So now I'm going to take this, and it literally goes on my floor to be cleaned. At my friend at Kojak Mama, when she sees that, or when I show her my craft room, I know she cringes because it's just so messy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side, and let's see what I got. Okay, so I've got my base. I've got my base, which is this paper by DCWV, and I also have the cutaway die frame here by Anna Griffin. And that's exactly how it's going to go. Now, if I remember correctly, this was attached to here using some tape adhesive. In this case, I'm going to be using Sookwang. Okay. And then I attached this piece to this using, can you see in there? I don't know if you can see, it's foam adhesive. See that? It's foam adhesive. So I'll be using foam adhesive on that. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this first. And recently I wasn't using a dispenser for my Sookwang. And as you can see here, the inside popped out. My friend, again, my friend at Kojak Roller, who she's into scrapbooking. She makes cards, but she does a lot of scrapbooking. That's she, as she says, that's her jam. She sent me a link for a heavy duty large cord dispenser that I need to order. I was gonna order it yesterday and I forgot. So I'm attaching some Sookwang to the back. Sookwang is Sookwang, and it is a type of tear tape that is made in Korea, and you can find it in America like on Amazon and under the distributor of Score Powers. I think it's they rename it Score Tape and the company Score Pal or something like that. But I just usually buy the one that says Sookwang. It's super heavy duty and very durable. So now that I've got it on, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I don't know if I need to raise the volume on my mic, on my Yeti. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off. And my floor is covered in this too. Like, and it, as you can see, it's like everywhere. Okay. So now I'm going to attach it to this. I usually do an upside down test. Okay, this is what I call my upside down test. I upside down it like this just to, I want to see what my measurements are. I want to see from the edge to here how much space that is, and also on the sides. Okay, I want to see where it's going to sit so I can remember. I don't want to put it too high, too low, too far to the right, too far to the left. I want to get it as centered as possible. On my original one, I didn't. Or wait, did I? No, I think on my original one, I went high and kind of low here. But on this one, I want to try to center it as much as possible. So I don't know if you could help my, no, okay. I'm like, because my head, every time I put my head down and I'm making these videos, my big head comes out in the video, but I think I've got the camera maybe low enough that it's not going to. Okay, so I'm looking to see about where I need to go. Again, I eyeball this. Some people do measuring, some people eyeball. I'm an eyeballer. And then I just pray that I have it right. I do like to use the edge of my paper trimmer, or the, not the edge, but the base of it to kind of guide me. And I think right about there is where I'm going to go. And then just rub that down. There we go. And I feel pretty good about that. That's the top. That's the bottom. Sides. That's about, yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling really good about that. And the damaged one is here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to add the damaged one. This is going to be my top so that I can hide it under this card. Or not, this heart, I should say. Okay. So we've got that down. I'm good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach to my base piece. This is not the card yet. This is just, this is just the part where I'm creating. And then when I'm done, I will attach it to my 65-pound cardstock, white card base, or blank, if you want to call it a card blank. I do make my own. I don't buy them pre-made just because a lot of my cards are all my cards are custom. I don't ever know what size they're going to be. The only time I use a tool to cut me a pre-sized piece or card blank is when I use the Compendium dies by Anna Griffin. This came as a very large set of dies. So useful, so handy. Probably one of the best purchases and investments I've ever made, really. This I believe this is the 5x7. I think this came with 2 or 3 different sizes. I think 3. And you would run this on your paper and it would cut out and score your exact sized card blank or card base. And this makes it easier to buy envelopes, because envelopes, when you custom make your cards and you don't really measure them out, you have to really buy the really large envelopes or custom make them yourself, custom make the actual envelope yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing that I did here before. I'm putting it in the card just to visually see how much space is around the card. And of course, I'm also wanting to check to see that it's not going to be too wonky. What does that mean? If I'm doing a straight line, I want to make sure that one side of the card isn't larger than the other. It's this I try to do when I did the cuts at the beginning, when I put it in the paper trimmer. At this point, I'm just hoping that it is already straight. And again, I can put it up to these lines, these grid lines in my We Are Memory Keepers paper trimmer, and just see where it lies. Now I can see here it's not straight still. I'm still over. And it's quite a bit, and it's on this side. So I'm going to flip her over again. Yeah, it is. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm just going to put it right about there. I think my stomach is grumbling. Okay. Let me see what that looks like. Because I want it to be as straight as possible. Or not straight, but not wonky. I don't want my paper to be wonky. And most of the time I can't really help it because I custom cut my paper. Okay. So I think that's going to do right there. Okay. So now I'm going to attach this to this. And how did I do it before? I used foam adhesive. Okay. So I've got a couple pieces here, but I'm going to have to cut some more. And I'm going to put it right about there. And I'm going to do 5 pieces, because I do like a lot of foam adhesive. Some people would say, well, you know what? 5 is actually not a whole lot. I use way more, or I use full-on strips. I don't like to use giant full-on strips like this. This is a full-on strip. I got this from scrapbook.com. It is by Express It. Okay. It's a very lightweight foam. I do cut it down, and I have scissors. I got these at Costco like, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. And it was a pack of 3, and I've ruined 2 pairs of scissors. So what I do is I actually write on them glue. That's backwards, but I actually write glue on them so that I know that these are the scissors I'm only allowed to use when I'm cutting foam or tape, because I basically have ruined these scissors. I've ruined them. So I'm going to cut my down like this, and I usually just keep this on my workbench off to the side. And then I just cut this down the middle. Everybody has their own thing. Yes, I do realize that they make pre-cut foam, but I like the really, really sticky foam. And sometimes that really, really sticky foam is not available. The really super heavy duty sticky foam is not really available in a sheet form. Now I do have some like this. Okay, it's all gunky. This is a really tiny one by Griffin. I also have the larger squares, or somewhat larger like this by Griffin. These are good for certain things, but I don't use them for what I need to depend on. And I also have these circles. Way back in the day, these used to be made by All Night Media. Oh, I don't know, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't remember. This is an off brand. I don't know what brand this would be. But anyways, for my heavy duty stuff, I like, or what I want to really last or make a lasting adhesion, I do go for something I know it's going to be more heavy duty. I did at Creativation 2020. The Wendy Becky class I took with Ranger. She gave us a bunch of swag and supplies, and in that was a Ranger foam tape. I lost it. I had it. I lost it somewhere last year during Valentines 2020. And that stuff was so sticky. It gummed up my scissors real good. That's how you know it's good, when it gums up your scissors. Okay, again, I'm going to turn this upside down on my paper because I'm going to eyeball the frame that it's going to make on the outside. Okay, I'm going to eyeball this frame here. because I want to center it as much as possible. So when I flip it upside down, if I turn it the other way, the foam is going to attach immediately to the paper and I'm going to ruin my project. So I am a fan of this, just this eyeball method, where I turn it over upside down and then I go and I see how much space, and I'm going to try to remember what that space looks like. And also, do I want the card this way or do I want it this way? Hold on, let me see. Well, I kind of like it like this. See, so that's different. I've got the roses here and this down here. So I want to make sure I see what I like. This one's different. This pattern was different on this one. Let me turn it over again and see what that looks like on here. I don't know. You know what's bothering me here is this area here and this area here has no foil. And I like maximum foil. Do you see that? Let me see if I can get it to show. I like maximum foil. And since I don't have foil on those corners, I feel like I'm missing something. So I'm trying to decide, because you're not really going to see this image other than the foil. As you can see here on this card, you're not really going to see that image. The image is just like background candy. It's just background eye candy. That's all it is. You're going to end up covering up most of it anyways. So the foil does peek through, but you're not going to see the center. So I'm just more concerned with the outer edges. The bottom has a fair amount of fairly distributed foil. The top does, except for this area here. So again, you want to make sure it's visually pleasing to you, since you're making it and you're going to give this away and you want to, you want to be happy with your creation. I don't know if that's how I want to do it. I think I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it this way. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay. So now that I know that I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it again. Because now I feel like it's wonky again. And that just could be me. So let me just see, line this up. Yeah, that's good. I can see a little bit here, but I'm just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. So this is my top now. This is my bottom. I want to make sure that I have the top here. This is the piece. This is the edge that got a little bit wonky, torn, because I used I didn't spritz my paper. Okay, and I remember now. Let me see. Do it again. Visually see my frame, so I can kind of know where it's going to be. And my stomach is still grumbling. I love it. Good Lord. Okay. So right about, I think that's too much. Can we see, does that good right there? So, okay. So I'm going to stick this down. I'm just going to push it down the foam. And now we've got a little bit of dimension, not a lot. It's just a little bit of dimension, but I do like it to be separate from here, just so you can see a shadow, and it gives it some dimension. And I'll just show you what that looks like. See, it just gives it some dimension. Okay. So I'm going to move my cart. I'm just going to grab my water. This is being recorded live, so we're live, as you can imagine. Okay, so now that I've got this down, I am ready to rock and roll. What does that mean? That means we're ready to assemble these hearts. Okay, so this is actually 2 hearts, 2. This one I already have cut, 3. This gold is 4, and the bottom is 5. I need 5 total hearts. I already have, and did I lose it? I often lose my PCs. Let me see, it's probably under here maybe. I know I have to cut it from this. And let's see. Put stuff away. Try to clean up my area. Doesn't always work. I seem to have lost my heart. Can I put it in here somewhere? Well, if I've lost it, we're in trouble. Oh no, duh. I put it down here in a safe place. Okay, so we're going to start cutting the hearts. So I have this one already, so we're good on that. I need 2 of the of this. It's this paper right here. This is just going to serve. So this is the foil that I'm using, and it's just going to go over it like this. Now, the reason why you can see it through here, okay, you can see it through here better than here is because this folder, which is actually this folder by Anna Griffin, turn it over so it's the right way. It is a cut and emboss folder. It's going to mar the vellum enough to give it like a sanded look. Do you see that? Put it right there. It gives it kind of like a sanded look. Oh my gosh, my hands are so dry. The weather in Arizona is super dry right now. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces first. And this is not required. You do need the plate system, but you don't need the magnetic mat nor the metal shim, okay, for this. So do I already have a piece that I can? Yeah, I do. Okay. Just gonna put it in here because I want the same size. More to the edge. I want the exact same size of the hearts of these hearts, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I think this one I can use a small plate system for the Empress Mini. And since my microphone is in the way of the Mini behind it, I'm going to use the large Empress. Normally I use the microphone in my webcam, but I've noticed that when I try to do videos for YouTube, it sounds really weird, so I don't want to do that anymore. I did that off camera. I should have did it on camera. So like this. Okay. And if you guys saw me yesterday die cutting on Instagram Live, you saw me do the spring icons that I just got in the folder. So this is what that looks like, and that's how I make them. Okay. And I needed exactly 2. There are my 2. Now, this is scrap. Put it in my scrap pile because I waste nothing. I waste nothing. Now I need to cut the gold. Now, what Anna said, I'm trying to remember when she said it. I don't remember. Since then, everybody's doing it, and I love it. I love it so much. I'm seeing all of the Griffinites craft with her. They're crafting with her cut and emboss folders and her vellum and they are all doing the technique that she told them to do, which is to emboss it in the reverse. If you emboss it in the reverse, you get these, just trying to take out this paper here. I got stick. If you emboss it, this is what I'm trying to do right here. So if you emboss it in the reverse, you get this kind of like sanded, distorted kind of look to your vellum. It's very vintage. It's very Victorian. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So the reverse, and I did this with a clear vellum. It was very hard to see. This is a gold vellum of hers, and it's much easier to do it with the gold vellum, I believe, because I can see this is much darker here, and if I turn it over, it's light. So this is the back, okay? So normally on the front, it'll say Anna Griffin, so you can tell. It's backwards here, but on the back it's not printed, so that's how you know. Okay, in this case, this is the front. Normally you would put the printed or the pattern side up, and then you would cut and emboss. But we're doing it backwards, okay? We're doing it backwards because she suggests to do it backwards if you're doing vellum, only vellum, not your pattern paper, because that'll give it this kind of like distressed look. So we've got it in there. I'm going to put it in my plate system. Actually, I'm going to use the larger plate system for this. So I'm going to use the distorted one or the marred one on the bottom and this one on top. Okay, and forgive me talking. I've already been talking for 40 minutes, so. Okay, here we go. So then let's see. I'm going to run this through. Again, no plate, no magnetic or metal shim needed, just in between the two plexiglass plates or whatever they are. through the Empress. And I'm going to run it a second time because I want, you can already see it. Look, I want extra. I want extra, extra. I should have probably ran it the other direction. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm going to take this paper. I'm going to move it out of the way so I have less stuff in my way. So I'm going to put this right there, and I'm going to move my plates over so you can see me do it this time. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to peel this paper away. Now, when I made this one, I did have to run it a couple times. I think because I was using the smaller mini Empress plates, and I should have used the medium, or what they consider small, to give it more, I don't know, more pressure, even pressure. Oh, gorgeous. Can you see that? Look how pretty that is. Now, I do want to make a comment on here. When using the gold, I believe this is the gold. It might have been the Christmas time pack that I got it. I don't know. I got it from Create, so I don't know exactly which pack. Anna gave us a ton of swag and a ton of product during Virtual Create 2020. So I don't know which, because I've never bought her vellum before, so I don't know exactly which pack it came from, the spring or the Christmas. So this one is gold. I would call this gold, and it matched really well with, in fact, this bow. You can see it goes really well with that bow. So when initially I was designing this card, and I was using it with, because I thought the gold would go really well with the gold foil in this paper, I was putting it together, and I was noticing that I was getting this weird coloring. When I would put it like this, I was like, well, that just makes it look kind of orange. Like in person, this makes it look kind of orange, purple, and the gold turns kind of into like a bright neon pink orange color. I'm like, I don't like that. That's not what I'm going for. And I put it behind. And I'm like, okay, but then I put it on top of my frame die cut here, and again I get that weird pink orangey color coming. That's not what I want. So I had to think about it for a minute, and I said, you know what if I put some pattern paper just to give it a little something, okay, just like a little something. That pressed flower look if people make their own homemade paper at home, and they add pressed flowers or dried flowers to it. This is what this paper kind of reminds me of. Okay. So when I put the gold vellum that I cut and embossed on top of it, it softens it a little bit. Okay. It gives it a soft look. And now when I put it together with this, it no longer looks pinky orange color. Okay. And it's exactly the color that I wanted, which is this antique vintage Victorian yellow color that plays off the purple, that plays off of the yellow in the flowers and the blue. And it almost looks like a springtime card. Even though it's a Valentine, it looks almost like a springtime card for me. So I've got the two pieces there. I'm going to be attaching those together. I've got my purple. I'm going to set those down. And now I have to check the one for this because I need to put the yellow over this one, okay? And look how beautifully this does create like a little fringy, this vellum. Look how beautifully embossed that is. Now this is the back side, but I put it facing up because the impression was more towards the back on this cut and emboss folder. And again, I used went by Anna Griffin's example that she told everybody. And I can't remember if she said it during, if she did it, it must have been during either a finishing school or it was some video. I don't even know which video it was, but she shared it enough and everybody's doing it now. And I've seen it in Facebook and on Instagram, on Facebook, in her community and finishing school. Everybody's doing it and it's just so awesome. And I love watching everybody just create such gorgeous, gorgeous Valentines. People are so talented. I just watch them and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love your Valentines. And everybody has such a unique individual style too. That's what I love, is everybody creates something unique and unique to them and unique to what how they create it and their style and their likes. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side. I don't have any more die cutting to do. That's a lie. I do have more die cutting to do, but I want to create this first, and then we will cut the inside of the card. Okay, using the same same frame die cut. So I'm going to just move my plates to the side so they're not in my way. Okay, and my space is dirty. We're just going to wipe it down like this. See? Just whoop, whoop, like that. Okay, so now we're going to assemble. So now I'm going to bring this back. I'm going to bring this over, and I'm just going to I'm going to start assembling these hearts. And I'm going to come back to my Sookwang. And as you can see, again, I've ruined it. I am ordering at Kojak Mama. If you ever watch my video, I will be ordering that from you. I promise. And I don't know if, you know what? I just realized I don't know if I enabled comments on this. This is the studio, YouTube studio has changed since the last time I've gone live. The whole interface is actually easier to use, but I don't know where anything is. So now on this heart, I think on this one, if I remember correctly, I was concerned that my adhesive would show up, and I don't want it to. So see, you can see I can lift it up there, but on this side, it's more attached. So I think what I did was I chose the side that was more distorted. Oops, sorry. That was more distorted or marred. And I guess it might be this side. And that's, what's this side. So this is the side I'm going to use to adhere. And I'm just going to put a little bit of Sookwang about right there. Tear it off. Maybe a little bit right here too. Okay, so that's more than I did on my original. Just don't want it to fall off. And I will rub that down because it is embossed. It's going to take a little bit more for this tape to adhere in terms of there's nooks and crannies, hills and valleys, whatever you want to call them. So now I'm going to line up my heart as best as I can, because once this attaches, you're going to have a hard time moving it around. And also you want to be careful because remember, you may not have had enough material to even make this card, because if your cards are custom, one of a kind, handmade cards, you may not have enough to make a second card. And this actually, I'm really inspired to make this video because of my friend at Kojak Mama, because she was telling me that she made, because of COVID, and this is 2020, this is the beginning of 2021. She wanted to make a bunch of birthday cards that she could just grab and go, grab and make and send. And she really liked the design of the one she made. I'm just pressing this down, okay, so it can adhere. And it is good to go. And she wanted to make this one card. She liked the way it came out, and she wanted to make like more of this one particular design that she had designed and she had made. And so when she went to go look at her supply and her stock, she realized that she actually didn't have the sentiment that went in the front. It wasn't like, she didn't have like a lot of it or more than one. So she was going to have to figure out a different way to get that sentiment, to create a sentiment for the card. And we were talking about, it does suck when you make your cards handmade or custom made. You may not have a lot of the same elements to recreate the card. And in making this card, even though we may buy our supply sometimes in bulk, the paper I think we buy the most of in bulk, and having dies and embossing folders does give you the opportunity to make more than one, but something that's printed. I'll give you an example, like this sentiment here, Valentine's greetings, or this flower. Unless you make it yourself, and you can nowadays with things like the Glaminator, with things like We Are Memory Keepers foil quill, or the new foiling tip by Cricut, and of course all the foils. You can now do this on your own using maybe even Deco Foil or Deco Duo Gel. I'm going to get that wrong, but it's by ThermoWeb. You can now mass produce these yourself, but if you bought them pre-printed, and this one has gold foil on it, it's by Griffin, and it came specifically in a set. I think it was the mini Valentine stickers. Then you're not going to be able to truly recreate this unless you have these items. And this paper pad only came with a certain number of sheets, 12 by 12 sheets of this paper. And of this I have a ton of. This I have very limited. This I have a lot of. This I think I have 1 or 2 left, and this I have the last one of this that I know of. So I really am only going to be able to make 2 of these cards and not anymore again. Okay, so I'm lining my heart up, and I'm going to now try to rub that down, or you could squish it. You can squish it down. You're not going to totally ruin the embossing on this. The flowers are really embossed on there. Do you see that? Gorgeous embossing. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, Anna Griffin. You did a fantastic job with these. Okay, I'm designing these. So I'm going to put that down. Now I'm going to try to separate, make sure I got my adhesive good. Look, nice and stuck. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. And now I've got this. Now I do see here that I did adhere. I'm doing all my prep work. I adhered this. Can you see that? Let me see. There's foam. So I'm going to attach my little heart to my big heart using some foam. Come back in, put some foam right in the middle. Okay, and I'm using my really good what's it called again? Express something. It's Express It something. I don't know what it's called. I think that's my second roll. I'm not sure. I know the first roll I had, I think might have been by scrapbook.com. I don't remember, but I used it all and I really liked it. And I got to figure out where I got that one from because I'm out of that. Okay, now I am going to introduce my art glitter glue. If it can focus, there we go. By Art Glitter, and they're based in Cottonwood, Arizona. So it's local and supporting local with this. I'd like to put a little dab, just a little dab. If you can see that right there. Nope, there we go. I like to put just a little dab of this because I want more adhesion, So I just put a little bit in the foam. The foam will help it to hold now, and the glue will help it to be super permanent. And let me just see, whereabouts did I put this? Okay. I think I went into the flower on this one. So I am trying to do as much identical as I can. And I see that, I don't know if you can tell right there. Hold on. Part of that flower is covered, like the 3 petals above it, forming like a little crown, which is going to be, let me see if I can get it. See that flower at the very top above the heart? Okay, so it looks like I got it in there and that served as a little crown. So I'm going to get that right there. It seems a little crooked to me. Let me see if I can. Yeah, once it's on there, dude, look out. And I want to line it up with the bottom. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to hold it down for a few seconds. Even though the foam is instantaneous adhesion, the glue does take a few seconds to build its bond. Art Glitter glue is a really fantastic glue. I started using it a few months ago, maybe. And another one out there is called Barely Art glue, I think. I've not used it, but people I know that have used it, they love it. And they tell me it's pretty much the same to Art Glitter. And I loved it so much, I ordered an additional bottle of Art Glitter glue from Art Glitter in Cottonwood, Arizona. Okay, so that's good. I'm good on that. I did my prep. I've used, just to give it a little, I don't know if you can tell, it's just a little dimension. It creates a shadow. It's not so flat. It's dimensional. It just creates a little bit of dimension. That's all I want. It's just a little dimension on that, okay? And if you're using this vellum or any vellum, just make sure this has like stray little pieces. I just take them off. So as you can see here, we had some dimension on that, and that's what I just created, okay? So we're going to move on. So I did the prep work on this. We've already adhered that to that. That's adhered to the white paper underneath. And let's see. We're going to start assembling. Okay, so the assembling. The first heart, I'm going to put it almost right next to it, right there. I did it going about, let me see, showed very little of that top. Very little of that top. It was about right there. And the heart, as you can see right there. Now, this is a problem I might have. I didn't consider this. This paper might not actually be the same exact size as this. Let me just check something really quick. It's almost the same. It's slightly smaller. I don't know if you can, I don't think you can see that. Let me go on this side. You might be able to tell here. Okay. So, because it's pretty reflective on this. So if I line this up right there, it's just a hair shorter. Okay. So I need to keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust slightly. This heart goes almost to the edge, and this heart goes almost to the edge. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the same layout, but I'm going to keep it within the same parameters. Okay. So it goes almost to the edge, and it shows just a little bit right there. And that's going to hide my wonky piece where it almost like ripped right there because I didn't spritz it. I'm not a spritzer. Okay, so almost to the edge, right about there. That's about where I'm going to put that heart. Okay, and this is what I do. I do a layout first. You know what? I think I might put the purple under here because that might actually help with the reflection on that silver piece, on the silver underneath. Let me just put this right there. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to, let me see. Right about there. And this one. And I'm looking at this and this to kind of help me gauge where I put it. So I did, looks like right about the middle, right about there. And then I got to bring it in. See, it's over the edge. So I'm going to bring it in, raise it, bring it in, right about there. It's approximately where it should be. Maybe even a little lower. I can see that this one here is a little lower right there. See that? And this is not permanent right now. I'm just checking to see what it's going to look like. Somewhere right about there, right? Maybe even a little lower. Okay. And then the flower. Now the flower is above the yellow heart. I'm going to call it yellow. It's gold vellum, but let's just, for the sake of colors, let's just call it yellow. Above the yellow heart and below the purple heart. Okay. And a little bit of the, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. A little bit of blue goes into the heart itself. And this goes right up to the edge of the paper. So I turn it to right about there, okay? And then I'm going to bring my purple back in, and I'm going to raise it to right above, it goes right about there. I don't see on this one, I don't see this piece here, so I think it's right about there. And I'm going to bring it out to come close to the edge of that paper. I'm going to very, very slowly lift up. Nothing's tied down, nothing's taped down yet, so it can still move, but I just want to see where this ends up. Stand back and look at my screen. It's similar. I can see one's a little bit higher on one side, but it's very similar. So it's going like it should. Okay. So now I'm going to come back in with my greeting. And it was right below the gold, right subtly below the gold heart or the yellow heart. But it's centered. Do you see that? It's centered right here. And this one's not. This one's off. So I'm going to very lightly pick it up. And I don't like how this is covering my rose. I need to look at the other one. Let me see. This one's not covering the rose as much. I mean, some, But I feel like this one's covering the entire rose. I don't like that. So what's the problem? Oh, wait, I see. Do you see the blue here? In the center heart? Look at this heart. It's not even there. So I'm going to lift this up a little. Is that where the other one is? Approximately. Okay, so I'm going to lift this whole thing up. This really should be about, maybe about right. About right there. Doesn't go all the way to the edge, but this piece of paper is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to tilt this heart a little. Raise it right there. Take this blue flower, or take this flower. I need to make sure this is to the edge, because this one's to the edge. And this blue, I don't know if it's a forget-me-not or what, I'm going to bring it up higher because it's got to be into this heart right here. Okay. And I'm taking this one. I'm just going to hold it down right here. Just want to make sure this, if you're thinking this is too much trouble to make a card, this is what I do. I enjoy this. And those of you who make cards know that you can get a little crazy sometimes, like it's got to be perfect. But this is the only reason I'm overly like eyeball measuring this is because I'm trying to recreate a card that I made. Okay, I think right there. Slowly lift off. I want to make sure, is that the same? Yes. It didn't. I'm noticing that this one didn't actually emboss those circles as much as the other one. Okay. So now let me see if I put this down. Trying to get this centered. Just really quick. Does this go edge to edge? It doesn't go edge to edge on the white paper. It goes edge to edge on the purple frame. Okay, so FYI on that. I'm going to go up a little bit. There. That's it. Now, I'm going to show you a trick that I do in just a minute. Now I'm going to add the bow, and you want to make sure that the tails of the bow are not really long. I got lucky with this one. The first one I drew out of the bunch, and I'll just show you where I have them. If you get them from Anna, this is this part of the swag that she gave us during Create, and they actually come in. If you buy her color coordinated bows, they actually come in this really nice plastic sleeve. I repurposed the sleeve to hold my cut and emboss folders, but this will come filled with bows. And I usually take them out and put them into this, like the here. And this is that's a sorting system that I got from Container Store. So here's my bow, and you want to make sure the tails are not going to go longer than your paper. Now you do have a little bit of play here. Do you see here? I purposely cut it a little bit longer so my tails would not go beyond, not necessarily beyond this paper. I wouldn't have cared if it would have gone beyond the purple. I don't want it to obviously go beyond the white part. That's the card, because you're going to be standing it. You don't want it to be like, on the table or wherever it's sitting, standing, and whatever, cause any problems. But you control that when you go to cut, because I'm going to trim this, okay, because it was this. You can see the size difference here. Okay. When you go to trim this, you control the size. So that's the good part about you making your own. You control the size. And I think I'll be a little okay when I use this one. I did try to find another one, but the other ones I found, the tails were really long. Like really, really long. Like this one is like way longer, I think. So I'm going to go with this one. Okay. So now what I do, this is the trick. And some of you probably do this, but this is a trick that I do. I take out my phone. And I take a picture of my card to remember, to try to, so this is my camera, or this is my phone. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of the card so that I can refer to it. Like, this is the design I wanted, okay? This is the design I want, and I can refer to it. And I usually place it somewhere where I can see it, and I can zoom in on it. Even though in this case, I actually have this to go by, which is really neat, okay? So I'm going to stand this up right here. I have this card to go by. That's nice. I have two visuals. I have this card, and I have the one on my phone, okay? So let me see here. I'm going to now deconstruct this. Take it apart, because now we're going to connect it all, okay? So I see on this first heart that I used foam adhesive. Can you see it right there? I used foam, so I'm going to use foam again. Come over to my glue scissors. And some of you are probably saying, oh my gosh, why doesn't she clean up those scissors? What is wrong with her? I will someday. Not now, but someday. And I'm just going to cut this up. I want a nice, decent size of foam. Peel that off. And to this, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Just a little bit. And again, this paper is by oh, actually, no, we didn't talk about this paper, did we? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh my goodness. You know what? No. Hold on a second. So this paper here, this purple with gold foil, is by DCWV. This paper underneath that I cut right here is by DCWV. This is Anna Griffin. This is Anna Griffin. The vellum is Anna Griffin. But this paper here that's underneath the gold vellum, the one I told you it looks like that paper that you make on your own, is actually by Prima. This is Prima. My mother-in-law gave me this for Christmas. It's Prima. Okay, so I'm going to add, my apologies to that, just a little bit of glue. See that? I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little bit of, let me see. I don't think it's going to focus. Just a little bit of glue. I don't add a ton of glue. I just want a little bit, because honestly, you don't need a whole lot of this. You don't. Okay, now looking again at my card, and I'm just going to bring it here. Now remember, this paper and this paper are not exactly the same size, okay? But I know that I want to get it almost to the edge, and I want a very little of this top to show. So that's what I'm going to do. Almost to the edge, very little to show. Almost to the edge, very little to show, and that's it right there. It's going down. Okay. Now let me look at this, because it's down. I can't move it. I just want to see side by side. It's pretty good. Sometimes I may make the heart go like this, so you got to be careful, but I think that's decent. I see a little bit more visually here than I do there, but that's okay, because remember, this piece is a little bit smaller than this. Okay. So the next one I'm going to do is my flower. The flower is going next. And this one did take me a lot longer to position on this one here, because every time I would go to test it out, it would shift. And I was really concerned. I'm not really, I don't really want, not that I don't want this flower here to show, but I want, these are the flowers I want to visibly really be represented and showcased. And I want to make it so that my sentiment doesn't really cover this flower, because this flower has some purple in it, and I want that purple to pop with the other colors. So I need to be careful. And this did go to the very edge of this paper. So I think this paper, because it's white core, it's showing right there. Let me see. So the blue went into the center of this heart. And again, this paper is a little bit smaller, so it's going to go actually way more into the center of that heart. and I got to do it at a diagonal. So I don't want it too low that it goes below, and then this little rosebud goes into the heart. As you can see here, the rosebud is nowhere near the center of that heart, but it is slightly smaller paper, so it's just going to be a little bit closer to the heart. And I don't want to get it all the way in like that because that heart will, this heart will cover it. I want to get it as much as I can out. And so it looks like this blue is going to come well into the paper. Okay, like right about there. And then I'm going to test it. And here the purple is at the edge of that heart. And I can go out more, just not too much. Right there. And on this one, you can see a little bit of the flower right there. I don't know if you can or not, but I can. So I'm going to go out right there. I'm going to lift my finger up. I'm going to come back. That was my Empress turning off. It does shut off on its own if you're not using it. I'm going to come back, and it's right at the edge of that gold heart. Oh, I moved it just a smidge. I don't want to move it at all. Oh, I forgot. We have to line it up with that. It's a lot of factors here. Okay, it actually goes like right there. Great. Let me see. That's a bigger gap there than I thought. Let's see. So now I'm thinking that my flower is too high. Let me see. I use visual cues to help me. You know what? I'm this is actually upside down. I didn't realize that it's patterned that way, but that's okay. I can still make it work. Not a problem. So I think it's right about there. That's where it should be. Let me see. Judging by this thing here, and then the top, that, and then let me see where this is. It's like right in the middle of this square. Right there. Okay, that makes total sense. Okay, right there. That makes total sense. Okay. This is probably why I don't recreate cards from scratch, or not from scratch, why I don't recreate a custom card, because I don't usually do that because it's it takes a lot longer. I custom make one and I walk away and I make another one, and it most likely will be different in some way, either materials or sentiment or placement. But the purpose of this video was to recreate, can I recreate a custom one of a kind card? And that's what we're doing. Let me bring this in. I can see a good portion of that right there. Okay, I'm going to lift my finger off. I feel like this blue is a little bit lower. Like these flowers are a little bit more inside this heart. Can you see that? It's like more centered, and I don't feel like this one is, but let me just see. So this should be right at the base of the gold heart. Just a little bit higher. Check for the placement in this flower. Yep, that's good. That's exactly where it should be. Very pleased with that. Okay. So now that I can see that, I'm going to come back here with my bow and just make sure. Now that's a little bit lower. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that right there. No, you can't. Okay, that's going to be considerably lower. I'm probably going to have to cut this bow because it's not going to, it's going to be way too long. That, or I can try to find a shorter bow. I can try to find a shorter bow. So that's too little. I want a bigger bow than that. Oh wait, this one might work. Hold on. This one might work. Yes. That works. Look at that. Haha, I won't have to cut anything. I don't think. No, I don't think I will. Perfect. This bow goes back. Won't have to cut anything. Okay, we're an hour and 15 minutes in, and we're still not done with this card. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my pieces again. And I just want to make note of where this, if we can remember where about the placement of this was, which is the middle of this piece here. Do you see that? Let me take my pointer. Do you see right there? If we can remember that this gets placed right at the middle, I won't. You know what? I'm going to take another picture. That might help me. Okay. And I'm going to zoom in just so I can see. Okay. So I'm going to remove again. Here we go again, removing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to put some foam on this. I believe I put a little bit of foam. Did I put foam on this? Or no, I guess I didn't put foam. Okay, so this one just has some Sookwang. So I'm going to take my Sookwang, take a piece of it, and I'm going to put it on the sides that are going to be on like here, here, and here. Okay, so I'm going to put it down here, and you're not going to see the stem, so I'm not concerned that it's not centered on the stem. And it's on this side. These flowers by Griffin are stickers. They do have a sticker back, but see here where it's actually not touching anything. I don't want it to be sticky and try to adhere to and it's gonna like kind of mess up my card. So I want it to be more dimensional. If I remove the sticker behind it, it'll try to stick down. I don't want that. So I'm just adding adhesive to the flower. And let's see, where else are we here? I think I actually did I add to the wrong side. I did, because I'm talking, and I don't know if I can remove it. This Sookwang is insane with its adhesion power. Well, no one's going to see that piece, but I need to, like I always say, less chatty, more crafty. Okay, so it's this side that I want. Right there. Take some more Sookwang. You can tear it with your fingers. I've been doing that more and more lately, even though I say I don't like it, because I prefer to cut with scissors, but lately it's becoming just a habit because it's so easy to do it. Okay, so I'm going to take that off. Take off my Sookwang pieces. And see how it's like static cling. Okay. So I'm going to take that, and now it's like do or die time. Okay, it's do or die time. Let's see. And I believe, let me just look here one more time. It's the center above the circle. It goes right into it. Yeah, right there. Goes right to the edge. The flower goes into the heart. Like such. Like such right there. Right about. Yeah, right. Wait, no. Right about there. Okay, here we go. Down. There we go. Okay, that's down. That's not going anywhere. That is down. Sookwang holds it really well. Okay, now we're going to do the heart. Now in the heart, I did add foam adhesive. I think I added it. Let's See if I can tell where I added it. I added it at the bottom. You don't want to put foam here, which is here, because if you put foam here, it's going to stand up high, and down here, you're going to have to add triple the foam to build it. So here I added Sookwang to attach, and here is where I put the foam adhesive on this side, okay? So that's how I'm going to do it again. There, foam adhesive, okay? And actually, I didn't put it there, but I put it a little bit lower, but that's fine. That'll work just fine. Okay, and I'm going to put foam adhesive, or I'm going to put Sookwang right here on this side. So it'll attach itself right here. And I think I even put a little bit of glue. Okay. So before I peel off the adhesive, I'm just going to do a quick measure. Quick measure again. Let me see. And that would be my hat in the video. Just trying to measure. To the edge. I can't see below that. Oh, I guess I cut a little bit. I just want to rip my other card. So let's see where that's at. Right about there. I think that's about where it should be. Okay. I'm going to blow up my phone, the image on my phone, just so I can have a secondary to look at. Edge, flower. Okay. And that green is showing. The green of this flower right here showing. Okay, I'm going to add some glue. And I'm going to add the glue to this side. Just a little bit right there and a little bit to my foam. Just a little bit. Don't need a bunch. It'll stick, trust me. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to grab it from the bottom. And I'm going to mention that I have this right butted to here. This helps me to not scoot, because if it's down, I know it's not going anywhere. I can hold it, and it's being held by the edge of my paper trimmer here. And that just kind of helps me not to move it in other directions. Okay, and looking at my photo, let me move that a little bit there on my screen. Okay. There. My foam holds it up here, and the Sookwang holds it here. Because remember, this is raised. This side is raised, and this side there was nothing. I was building from the corner this way, okay? So I didn't want foam under this side because this side is raised. I want the foam here to level this all up even. I may not have just said it that way, but that's what I was meaning to tell you guys. Okay. So that's down. Next part, sentiment. Now the sentiment, how I did the sentiment, again, we're working from this corner down, is raised. This is all raised. So when I lay this down, you can see how it tilts up. So I'm going to put the foam at the bottom so it can raise up, make it even. Okay, that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to raise it up and make it even. We are an hour 23 and change into this card. Okay, so I'm just going to just put it right here just to kind of see where I need to be. And I'm going to retest my bow to make sure my bow is where it's supposed to be. Okay, get my bow back. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now we're going to do our foam. So on the foam side, I'm going to grab a couple little pieces. And I'm going to put them at the bottom. I'm going to put them like right there. Okay. Same thing with this one. About there. And this one again is a sticker, but because of the way the foam has to be on one side to make it level, I'm not going to peel away the sticker. I'm going to make it my own. Okay, and so when you lay it down, it is raised on the bottom to meet the raised portions here. And that's what I want. Okay, and I can, if I want to, add a little bit of Sookwang here where it's going to touch, and that'll give it better. I don't know if I don't think I did it on this one, which I might go back. But, you know, when you build something and you're like, you think about it again, like, maybe I should have added a little bit of something there. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just give it a little bit of something. I'm going to do it right to this area right here where it's going to touch the gold and the purple heart. Okay. Now, remember, this is going to go edge to edge on our purple die cut frame. And it's going to go right about there. And that is about identical, maybe even a little higher. Hold on. That's about identical as to where the other one is placed on this one. See where side by side? See that? It's about the same. I can't believe my stomach is using this moment to make noises. It's hilarious. Okay, so I'm taking this off. And I'm going to add just a smidge of glue. Just a smidge of glue. Just a smidge. I don't want a lot. Just a smidge. Okay, on the foam, not anywhere else. Okay, I'm coming back in. I'm coming back in. And edge to edge. Oh, you know what? Do you remember how we said we're going to be in the middle there? We ended up not. We ended up not being in the middle. How far? This is actually a little bit lower. Hold on. This is not going to be exact. Close, but not exact. Just want to make sure that this is not wonky. Oh, I think that's good. Okay, press down on my foam and on the top where the Sookwang is touching the gold heart. I'm just going to hold this down just so that it can build a bond. Right there. It's going to hold it down so it can make a bond. And really quick, these are the vellum pieces that we got during Create. See, this was the clear one. And these are the colors. I think this was the Christmas. I may have gotten it out of the Christmas section. And these are the springtime colors. There's like blue and stuff like that. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to add the bow. And while that is drying and adhering, I'm going to cut my base down and all that. So the bow, I tend to use a little bit extra adhesive on this bow. So on the bow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add foam to it, is how I've been doing my bows now for a while. I add foam and glue. It's a combination. Okay, so on the bow, I'm going to add the adhesive or the foam right there. No, well, I can't say for certain, but I don't believe that this adhesive will be permanent with the fabric of the bow or the material of the bow to the paper. But what I do is I put glue. So I'm peeling these off. I put glue. I'm sorry, I stepped away from the camera. I put glue on the bow and on the foam. Okay. So I put just a little bit of glue, not a lot, on the foam. And then I usually put some right here on the knot. Right there. That's as much glue as I use. That may look like a lot. And I realize that, yeah, it may look like a lot, but this is how much I use when I attach bows. I always, this art glitter glue, I believe it dries clear and it won't be shiny. I want to say that's right, but that's how much I use. And in the world of art glitter glue, that is the name of the glue. It's not me. Oh, snap. Live fail. That's a live fail. That's probably like the glue gods telling me, use too much glue. But anyway, so it got on my paper, thank goodness. But I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm going to leave that. That's live crafting. You guys want to see, some of you guys like, how long does it take you to make a card? I hear that question all the time. But anyways, what I was trying to say is the name of the glue is Art Glitter. Art Glitter Glue. It's actually called Art Glitter. Designer Dries Clear Adhesive. So it's not made for glitter per se, but that's just the name of it. It always threw me off too. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to bring my bow and I'm just going to center it and I'm going to put it right on here. See, it's on this, just like on this one. It's right on that right there. I'm going to bring it in and I'm going to try to center it as much as possible, as much as you can. And then I'm going to push down on those foams. The foams do give it a little bit of dimension, like lift or raise. I'm going to push down on the foams. Now, depending on what card I'm using or what type of card I'm making, I would actually get my Spellbinders Tool N One. Bring it over here. Would actually get this, and I tend to insert it like this, and I find the foam, especially if I'm using like one of the smaller bows, and then I push down on the foam to try to make a nice seal with the glue and the adhesive on the foam. And I'll do it on the other side as well because my finger generally doesn't fit in there. But I want to make sure I'm getting a good seal and getting that glue to do a nice, it disperses and just get that in there. And this doesn't take very much time to set up at all. I'm just pushing it down just to make sure that it does get in there. And now I'm going to set it aside. Okay. In my card making techniques, I set my card base aside. And now I'm going to work on, and I want to make sure that this is my glue scissors. I want to make sure that this doesn't touch anything. So I'm just going to, I actually am using this piece. It's hilarious. I'm using this piece and throwing it in the trash because I don't want it to touch anything. I'm using this piece. Now we're going to cut the inside. While that's drying a little bit, I'm going to cut this piece here. So we're going to finish it off. Okay. So I'm going to get my base. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. Let's just die cut. We're just going to die cut first. So I'm going to get my... And for this one, well, we'll do one at a time. I'll show you guys how to do one at a time. So for this one, because I don't want to mar my mat, it's brand new, I'm going to use my old icky mat. It's still usable, you guys. Don't think like it sucks. It's still good. It still works, okay? I'll flip it over. It's not as ugly on this side. And I'm going to get my metal shim from the other one. Okay. This. And let me see where I put it. Oh, it's right here. So it's this one and it's this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece out. A-plate, metal shim, magnetic mat. I'm going to cut into this mat versus the other time I cut up. So it would be paper facing up. Doesn't matter. This is double-sided. Paper facing up and die cutting down into my mat. That is the way I'm cutting it at this moment. And I'm going to put it in my large Empress and we're going to go in this direction. Okay, we're going to feed it in this direction. That's the machine turning on. Because I've got my Archon mat here and it's kind of like in the way. And I don't want to bump my Yeti microphone. My husband will be so proud that I'm using that. He bought me that a couple years ago. And he's always, did you use the microphone? No, I can tell you didn't use it because it doesn't sound great. So hopefully it's sounding okay. Okay, so I cut that piece out. Now for this one, I am going to switch and use my better mat because I don't want any issues if I skipped. Like if I were to get it over here, it wouldn't die cut on that. I guess I could get it to center. Let me see. Yeah, it actually shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I'll continue to use it. Just so you guys can see that it does still work, okay? I'm going to cut this away. And I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut on this side because this side is like marred with pencil. I don't know. So I'm actually going to cut it down too. Okay, running it through. And I'm cutting into the mat. Is the direction. I'm cutting into the mat. Let me take a look at it. I'm going to run it one more time. You don't need to run it one more time, but I'm going to do it. Just because it is an older mat. Okay, so right here you're watching me live take it apart. See how it cut it right out? So this was able to cut. If had this been here, I've had problems where it doesn't actually cut because it's on that crack. Okay, so from here, I'm just gonna, you can use your Tool N One or you can pop this out gently. I'm gonna use my Tool N One. And Anna's dies are so beautiful. Look at that, it cut out beautifully. Bourgeois, bourgeois, everyone, bourgeois. And I'm going to put it right over like that. And people can write their little, I love you, X's and O's forever and ever, infinity, whatever. This is a Valentine. You make me swoon, Valentine, or whatever things. Choo, choo, choo. Oh my gosh, that's like from The Simpsons. I choose you. I think there's like a little choo-choo on there or something. Forgot about that one. Okay, into my scraps pile. Okay, so again, wipe that off. We're going to go ahead and do some adhesion right now while we're letting that bow dry. Again, we are live crafting, y'all. Live crafting. So really quick, I'm going to show you when I buy the Sookwang, so you can see what it looks like. It comes like this, okay? And I like the narrow one. I think there's 6 in here. I like the narrow one because it affords me greater flexibility to put it into narrow areas if I wanted to. The wider one is, I'm sure it's great and convenient, but I prefer this one. And this is my restock. I just got it in, I think like a week or 2 ago. But that's what it looks like. I ordered it from Amazon. And yeah, I ordered it from Amazon. Okay, so. And I'm not going to add any more than that. It doesn't really need it. The original card, the original idea, you can see how this lifts up like this. I want that. I want that lifting on these edges. I want the dimension so people can see that it's like lace and that it's actually 2 pieces. Otherwise, people may think it's 1 piece, but I want them to know it's 2 pieces. 2 pieces. I say pieces. Okay. And I did mar this paper, but no one's going to see that. So that's on the back side. So again, if you want, you can do that eyeball center measure. And as you can see, this die cut, if you can tell from here, it does have a little bit of frame room around it. So you just want to make sure that you get it centered on here. So I'm just eyeballing it. And it's very little all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to get in here. And it is a little hard for me to see because it is purple on purple, the exact same shade. Make sure that is lined up. Okay. It's not bad. Okay. And now I'm ready to assemble my card because for the most part, this glue is pretty much set. Any glue I think takes about 24 hours to dry. but it's set so I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to clean my die. Sometimes I don't do it right away, and then when I go to use it, I have to do it, and it's like, oh, I have to clean this. And sometimes it's really super intricate. I have one over there I'm looking at. Here, this is the other one that goes in the series. These came with 2. Look, you can see where I didn't clean it. So when I go to use it again, I'm going to have to clean that out. Not fun. Okay. There. Okay. So now I'm going to come back and do my measuring. Do my measuring. I do like to, because they are hand. I do use a scoring board and a bone folder. I do like to see if just how bad of a job I did. And that one looks pretty good. So now this is where I measure. This is how I cut my cards, my card blanks down, because they are handmade. I make them myself. And you can see it opens there. So I like to come in here and just do like a measure. Now I'm going to take into account that this flower goes slightly over this paper. You can see that? Slightly over. So I want to take that into account. Okay. And I like to make a nice frame. I try to make equal width. It doesn't always work out, but I try. And I come in here and this is how I measure for my card blank when I make them. I'm going to take my handy dandy Superman pencil and I just come in here and I mark where I'm going to cut off. See that? Set this to the side, come back over here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut this, line it up into my cutter. Come back in, cut the next one off using the little line that I marked right there, putting it into the cutter. Do you see that right there at the bottom? It's right here. I'm going to cut that away, bring it as close as I can to make sure sometimes I don't do a great job and the pencil mark stays. Like I cut it, but I still have pencil mark. Not this time. Not this time. Okay, so I'm going to bring my card over again. And I'm just going to do a visual check of how much border I have. This one has quite a bit. I could have cut a little bit more. Let me see. I think I'm going to cut a little bit more. I'm going to cut a little bit more from the bottom. Just a smidge. Let me see what that gives me. Okay, I like that better. And I'm going to cut a little bit more from the side. Just a little bit. Even less than I did right now on the bottom. Let's see. Really funny this morning, my husband goes, I go to my husband, okay, Tim Holtz is on. I got to go watch Tim Holtz. I got to go make cards. He's like, okay, see you in 8 hours. See you at 8 o'clock tonight. That's what he said to me. I was like, you're funny. But no, he's actually serious. And I guess, yeah, because I'm looking at the time. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm like, when did it become 5? Checking again, eyeballing it. And this is where the proof is in the pudding. This is where you see that if your card was actually your base, this purple gold foil was actually like wonky or not. That looks good. That's going to work for me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my base. I'm going to turn it over gently because, I don't know how dry that glue is, but sometimes I add that bow at the very end. Sometimes I actually don't add the bow. That's like the cherry on top, if you will. I do the bow at the very end, and then I set it to the side to dry overnight, or I'm done with that card. Like, I'm done with that card. I finished it. So I'm going to come in and just do my Sookwang at the edges. So you can see here a lot of adhesive is used. I use a lot of adhesive. And, you know, there are some people who say, well, die cut cards aren't really handmade, or you didn't do any stamping, or you didn't do any coloring. Handmade cards are done different ways. If you're a stamper, if you color, if you do stenciling, all of that, yes, that is handmade. But guess what? You guys saw firsthand here that with my own hands, I had to adjust, measure, tape, work the die cuts. You know, it may not, everybody's definition of handmade is a little different. This is a handmade card. It takes a lot of time to die cut pieces, to color coordinate paper. So you do you in your own style of crafting. My cards are handmade, and they're handmade with love. Okay, let me see. Now I'm going to peel this off here. A lot of adhesive goes in here. And maybe sometimes you want to make your own die cuts. You know, like, I'll give you an example. These flowers are considered pre-made embellishments, right? I have dies that make flowers. You could make your own flowers, especially if you wanted to color coordinate, or you wanted to coordinate with your paper. You could make your own flowers. You could stamp your own sentiment. I have some stamps I had to buy myself. I'm not a stamper. I'm learning to stamp. My husband got me a Misty by Hero Arts, or is it My Sweet Petunia? It's a Misty by Hero Arts and collab with My Sweet Petunia. And he got me one of those so I could stamp it. It does make stamping easy. I'll tell you that. So again, I try to remember, okay, if you don't remember you're gonna get a little bit of lift here. Try to remember what my border looked like before you adhere. This Sookwang is like no joke, yo. Okay, let's make that as straight as possible on the left. Okay, I just run my finger down to seal the deal, like such. Into the flower, over the flower. And then everybody has a way to put their name on their card. I use an embosser, okay? And I just stick that in before. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Pull that out. My name is on there. You can see the embossed. Well, kind of see it. It's there. I'm going to take my inside die cut. And you could, if you wanted to. I don't have any yellow hearts. I do have gold hearts, I guess. But you could do a small little heart like this, or rub-ons or whatever, you know, if you wanted to add a little bit more. But for this one, I think this is enough for me. I'm not going to add any more than this. So to this, I'm going to add even more adhesive. Go through a lot of adhesive. Okay. I'm going to add a piece to the edges. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody sees this part. Just all you're going for is for it to actually stick and stay. Sometimes I only add it down the sides. But this one I'm doing all of it, all sides, a little bit on each side. Let me come back to I was just basically peeling it away. Okay, so now I'm going to measure again, eyeball, and you can do this in reverse again if you want to get it centered. This one, I have to admit, I don't ever get as centered as everything else I try. Ta-da! My attempt at making 2 identical cards. Let me shift this over so we can get right underneath. My attempt at making 2 identical cards. And I think I did a pretty darn good job. I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. You can see like my mess here. Excuse that mess. I'm pretty darn impressed. So yeah, I'm really happy that I did that. Very rarely do I actually make a duplicate of a custom original, but I did this time. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe I actually did it. I'm so excited. Again, you have to have, in order to do this, keep in mind materials. Materials are big, because there are some components that if you don't have, you can't make it. So if you want to mass produce your cards, you have to make sure you are going to have enough materials. Big holidays like Valentine's Day, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. If you want to make one card and send the same card to everybody, you're going to have to make sure you have enough materials to make that card multiple times, whether it be stuff paper so that you can do your own die cuts, create your own die cuts, make your own die cuts, whether it be the flower, maybe you have like an owl or a spider that you didn't make, but you need to make sure you have the quantity available to make multiple cards. I often don't, and these aren't completely identical. You can see, I think one's a little bit taller than the other, but for the most part, they are identical. All the materials are the same. And I'm just really pleased that I was able to do that. And this is, I'm pretty sure I don't have another one of this flower. So I will not be able to make another one of a flower, another card like this, unless I find it somewhere stashed in my craft room. But thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you spending the time with me and watching this video, whether you watched it live or you're going to watch the playback. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at JuanitasCasita. And I usually post more content to Instagram than it goes to Facebook. Instagram is probably where you're going to find the most of my content. And I'm trying to build up YouTube. I've had it up for like, I don't know, 2 years or so. So we'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. And I declare this a win, not a fail. This was a win. I was able to do this using DCWV, materials by DCWV, and Griffin. Dyes by Anna Griffin. I used art glitter glue. I used Sookwang. I used paper by Prima. I used Express foam. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day and craft on.